How long has Vinegar Joe been going?
No, how did the group start, Vinegar Joe?
Well, Pete Gage, who is the lead guitarist and also the leader of Vinegar Joe.
Yeah.
And it's a very, very long story how I happened to meet Pete. But I'll try and be as brief as I can about it. But I met Pete via doing recording sessions, and he had an idea of forming a band called Dada, which was a 9-piece band, 3 vocalists and a brass section.
Yeah.
And one of the vocalists was going to be me, asked me to join. And that band was going for about just under 2 years. Unfortunately, it had to break up because we lacked financial support. Just had to disband because of that. And I happened to like working with Robert Palmer, who was one of the other singers in Dada, and also the bass player Steve York. We decided to stay together because we happened to enjoy playing together. Okay?
Yeah? Oh.
Okay, and I'll carry on. I can't remember where I was up to. No, that's okay. We happened to, getting back to Robert Palmer, Steve York, Pete Gage and myself, we happened to enjoy playing together and it worked as people. So we thought, well, we'd try and keep the idea, well, at least the music together, of Vinegar Joe, of Dada rather, and form another band. We didn't have a name for the band. We got a couple of other people involved, which was a drummer, who didn't last for very, very long. At that time was, I can't even remember his name, but they didn't stay for very long anyway, because we made our first album with 2 session drummers, one of them being Keith Hartley, the other one Conrad Isidore, who were on our first album. And none of us could decide on a name. Chris Blackwell, head of Island Records, decided on the name Vinegar Joe and said, oh, you know, has anybody any objections to that? And we said no, although I personally wasn't too sure about it.
It's some of the military...
well, the actual name Vinegar Joe is a nickname for a man called General Joe Stilwell, who was a hero in the Burma War. He was one of the sort of guys who used to really muck in with the men who used to eat and drink with your ordinary soldiers, and he was known to have had a very, very acid sense of humour, so they nicknamed him Vinegar Joe. And I believe Chris Blackwell, who knew all about this, thought it was a great name, passed it on, though I personally wasn't that keen, like I say, on the name, although after seeing it in print over the last couple of years, I sort of got used to it, and it's proved to be quite successful for us, so it's okay. But that was the very, very beginnings of the band. We've been through a couple of changes as far as the drum seat is concerned, because I honestly believe that your drummer is one of, if not the most important member of the band, because for me, my whole singing is on rhythm, pattern.
Drummer is very, very important.
Well, to me, and
group,
so we had a hard time in settling on a drummer. We had a couple of people, I mentioned Keith Hartley and Conrad Isidore, also a man called Tony Newman, who sat in with us for a short time, who used to be with Sounds Incorporated, until we sort of like got sorted out with somebody. With John Woods, who now looks after us and is our personal road manager, also played drums for us for a short time. John's a credible rock drummer, but we as a band have got a very, very wide sphere as far as our music is concerned, and we wanted to branch out and do these things. And John is a great solid drummer, he'll admit that, and he likes to listen to all these fantastic sort of soul-y things, but can't always play them. And we got Gavin, who used to play with Heads, Hands and Feet when they folded up.
I think he was in Amsterdam, was a Rock Island.
He might very well have been. Well, anyway, Pete Gavin when Heads, Hands and Feet split up, we'd been keeping our eye on Pete over the last year, and when they split up, we decided to ask him, and he joined us. And we've been very, very happy and a very, very settled band ever since. We've had odd members join the band, one of them being a very fine musician, Jim Mullen, who was in that photograph that you showed me, who was, it was quite a nice thing, but didn't quite...
Was fun, eh?
He was, he is a great musician, there's no doubt about it, with Jim Mullen. He's one of the finest guitarists I have heard, but as far as Vinegar Joe is concerned as a band, he just didn't quite fit in.
No.
And being a basically bluesy, rock, hard-hitting band, Jim's style of playing didn't always fit in with that. So when we came back from the States, we did a 2-month tour of America this year. We decided to ask Jim to leave, and we've just kept it back to the original 6-piece that we formed.
Robert he's playing now.
Robert's playing rhythm guitar.
Yeah.
Pete's playing incredibly good lead guitar. He's playing some really mean guitar, yes, very fine.
I'll see it tonight.
You will, I hope you agree with me.
Did you ever work outside the music business?
Well, after leaving school at, well really I was 14 when I left school, because my last year at school I got very ill. I had pneumonia, bronchitis, all awful things, and I had to leave when I was 14 really. When I was 15 I wasn't really sure what I wanted to do. I've always known I wanted to do something in the entertainment field. I mean, I've always been dancing, singing, anything to be in the limelight and show off. It was always in me, though I don't think my main aim was to be a singer. Anything in the limelight. I played clarinet, I played a bit of saxophone,
piano,
a little bit of piano. I mean, I've taken my piano playing a bit more seriously over the last couple of years, but when I was young I didn't take it quite so much. I thought that playing a clarinet or a saxophone I'd get more noticed, you see. And I tap danced a little and ballet, but I wasn't really sure when I left school what exactly I wanted to do until I answered an audition that I read in paper, and that more or less started off my singing career. One thing led to another. I joined a band shortly after that called the Eric Delaney Band, and I stayed with his band for a couple of years. And went back home, sang with another band.
Is that even family, or it's? I mean, it's your mother, maybe.
Well, my mother isn't that musical. She had a great appreciation of music. My father, I don't particularly appreciate the things he likes. A lot like Robert's father, he likes the Andy Williams and Jack Jones and Frank Sinatra is about as strong as he goes. But I'm not really from such a musical family, other than my Uncle Nat, who used to run a band many years ago, and my mother's mother, who was a fine concert pianist and singer and guitarist. She was the talented one. I think maybe I might sort of like be a chip off the old block as far as that goes, but she's about the only one. She had a wonderful singing voice and was a great teacher, I believe, although I never had the pleasure of meeting her.
Let's talk about you. What ambition do you have?
Well, I hope, seeing as I think personally, as far apart from everyone else, although the band and especially my husband has worked very, very well. We've worked very, very hard over the last couple of years. Obviously, my ambition is that Vinegar Joe should be a very, 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 very successful band, and we should know chart success. We should have a hit record. I think at the moment I can only see as far as that. Obviously, like a lot of people, I have 100 ambitions. You know, I want to have everything. But my main thing at the moment is just getting that one thing. We desperately need record success. With the fuel crisis at the moment in England, our record company is having a hell of a job trying to get our records pressed, even though all over the place we've done tours of at least 8 countries over the last 12 months, and all those countries, there's ridiculous demand for our record, and our recording company just can't get the records out fast enough. We've had a very good selling album in England, and we just cannot get this album out enough because of the fuel crisis. They just can't get the pressings, you know.
I have the impression, you know, I was reading the last Melody Maker and Record Mirror. I have the impression that Vinegar Joe in England, it's became a little bit more name, you know what I mean?
I think that we have worked very, very hard, but we choose our gigs fairly carefully now in England. Having worked a lot, not necessarily this year, because we've worked a lot on the continent this year, but we're choosing our gigs very carefully. We'll only play really big places now, because it's only a small country, and we don't want to be overexposed. The most important thing is to have hit parade success. And like I'm saying, with the fuel crisis, it's really hitting bands like ours, because our record would be, you know, the orders are there, but they just cannot meet the demand. They just can't. The companies cannot churn the records out fast enough. And I think everyone from your top artist to your bottom is suffering really the same thing.
Do you have any personal? It's a difficult word. Extravagances.
Yes, as you can see, I do love my food. I love food. I love beautiful, good wine, good brandy, good malt whiskey, and I love good French perfume. That's my extravagance. Really? You betcha. Everybody puts it down. I mean, all your women's livers, you know, you should use all these natural oils, but I'm afraid I'm an old-fashioned girl as far as that's concerned. I just love... Oh, it is, as far as your women's lib concerned. They reckon that you're paying for the bottle and the wrapping and all that nonsense, but I'm sorry, when I open that bottle and I put that perfume on, I love it. That's one of my big... I've always been very, very extravagant. I'm terrible with money. If I've got it in my pocket, I'll spend it, you know.
Do you spend a lot of money for clothes?
Well, I am fortunate enough to have a few things bought for me from the band, you know, because, I mean, that's how we work things. But when we started, I used to buy everything myself. It's nice now that I have a lot of things made, because I don't really have the time to go out. I mean, there are some beautiful things in the shops at the moment, but I don't, unlike your average woman, I just don't have the time to go out and buy it. It's easier for me to ring up my dress designer and say, God, I've got a big gig coming up in 3 weeks' time, make me something really beautiful. And okay, she comes to the studio or wherever I'm working and she fits a thing on me, comes somewhere else, fits it on me the night before it's ready, you know, and I don't have the hassle of going out and buy it. So as far as that's concerned, it's really great, you know. It's easier. Though in some ways I would prefer to go out and just buy things like I used to do before, but I just, the pressure of, you know, work just will not allow me to do it. Exactly, I just haven't got the time,
Do you have any personal weaknesses?
I think everybody obviously has got a personal weakness. I think that when I'm very, very tired, like most people, I've seen several programmes on the television about the easiest way to break somebody down is just keep them up. And the rate that most bands work in the business today, you do get very, very weak, and it leaves you open for a lot of things, and you do a lot of strange things that you perhaps wouldn't normally do if you were at home. And I think that I have, when you say like personal weaknesses, getting over emotional, usually in those situations when I'm very tired.
Are you sentimental?
Oh yeah, I think most women are. I love to have a good cry at the odd film, you know. But I'm usually on my own, you know. I don't usually let it out when there are too many people around. But I dig looking at sort of like silly movies, you know, and getting all soppy. I know it's strange to believe because I'm fairly sort of like strong as a character when you come to meet me, but I don't mind the odd weep.
Is it kind sentimental, you know, moonshine and...
Oh, you mean am I a romantic? That's different.
Yeah, no, sentimental, I mean, yeah, moonshine and, how do you call that? Red wine and a table for two.
That's, rather than sentimental, that's called romantic, I would say.
Yeah.
No, I wouldn't really say that I am.
No.
Coming from a northern background, although I'm not speaking for all northern ladies, I'm one of those fairly realistic northern ladies, and I'd rather go to a restaurant that didn't have all those fantastic things that you're saying, the candles on the table and the soft lighting. I'd rather go to the one with wooden tables, a bit funky, sawdust on the floor, and the food that was really great, you see. That's where I'm not much of a romantic. I'm much more for the practicality of things, you know. I'm much more of a realist.
And what about animals, you know what I mean? I can see a dog or a cat mistreated, you know what I mean?
Oh, I don't think most people can. I think you must have something really wrong with you. I mean, to really see. I mean, I came in one night from a gig. Pete and I came in, and the man next door was carrying this poor little cat who'd had something looked like wrong with its foot, and somebody had put its foot in, you know, one of those things to hold a piece of wood. I can't think what they call it, and pulled its claws out and cut its whiskers. And the worst thing you can do to a cat is cut off its whiskers. It can't judge anything, you know, and its whole sort of like balance is upset. I think that's one of the worst things I've heard about, and it really, really upset me. I thought that was terrible.
I saw a man for the little dogs, you know, in the water. He put 4 so little dogs just born in the water. It was terrible.
Well, I'm sorry, I can't understand people who can do that. There's a much more humane way of dealing with things. There's always somebody who'll want to care for it.
Yeah.
No, I think I'm sorry, I can't understand the mentality of those sort of people. I think it's pretty awful.
Yeah. Are you interested in sport?
When I was at school, I was good at running. I was good at a game called rounders. I like table tennis very much.
Oh yeah.
Table tennis is my game. My husband is terrible. When I used to play, we used to have a guy in the band who was really good. He was a schoolboy champion, right? Yeah. And he thought I'd be just one of those that toss it up and down.
Yes,
and I just pretended that, yes, that's all I can do. I said, all right, I'll play you again. I whipped his fucking arse. Yeah. And it was terrible. Because I like to play. I just hope my father my father's a very good player. My father taught me how to play. But my father holds it pen, but I do it the normal way.
Yeah, the normal way.
I like it. It's a very speedy game.
It's a good play.
I can't play tennis. I cannot do that. But I'm very
table tennis.
Table tennis and I like. I don't like to watch football very much. No? I've been asked to play. There's a women's team I've been asked to play for in England, but I just don't have the time to do it. But I've been asked to play because they think that I'm very butch and I play very well. But that's about the only thing really. I like to play cards. Swimming. Oh, I like swimming very much. I like playing cards. Yeah. We haven't devoted much time over the last few weeks to playing cards, although we used to play. When we were gigging a lot in England, we used to have, a Volkswagen van, and we used to have a table set up.
Is that bridge or?
No, it's cards. Cards, we play cards.
Yeah.
Well, we used to play 3 or 4 different games in poker, with
poker,
and it kills a few miles. I quite like cards. I don't mind playing cards. Yeah. It's one of the games I like. Monopoly, things like that.
Monopoly. To buy houses.
I like those. I like those games that don't take up too much energy. Like I say, the odd game of table tennis, and I'm about it. You know, I'm trying to conserve my energy for my singing.
Yeah.
Now, what else do you want to ask me?
What qualities do you look for in a friend?
In a friend? Well, that's difficult, isn't it? Because I have a lot of friends. I mean, I have lots of girlfriends who give me things. Well, just sort of like groupie fans. You know, I've got a lady that going back to the States gave me this beautiful cloak and things. I've got lots of dresses and things they've given me. But what do I look for? I don't know, I suppose. Well, I suppose I can suss somebody out if they're bullshitting me, you know. Yeah. And well, I somebody that isn't going into competition with me. I mean, having a sort of reputation that I have more of a reputation and an image than anything else. I mean, I maybe I am some of the things that they say, I don't know. But people tend to compete against that image, you know, try their luck against it. And I must admit I do appreciate the ones that don't, that we can just talk as people and they're not trying to sort of like get one over on me. I know instantly when there's a person who is vibing me what I say and trying to get on top of me. And it's a bad thing to do because then I will just shy away. And rather than, if I've had a few to drink, maybe I'll challenge that person. But if he catches me or she catches me on a time when I'm not, I'll just try and walk away. Because that is a bad thing. I'd rather have just somebody who can be natural and friendly and try and look for the good in me, and then we'll get on because I'm trying to look for the good in them.
You know, I was reading a sentence in the English paper, and you said, "I trust in people that speak faster than me."
I didn't trust people.
Oh, you didn't?
I didn't trust people who could talk faster than me.
Yeah, something like that.
Well, that was down to the fact that when I came down from Manchester, which is a couple of 100 miles from London, but at that time when I came down from Manchester, there weren't that many northern people in the pop industry. It was a little bit before the Beatles, and it wasn't very fashionable. In fact, it was a little taboo to have a northern accent. And I was what they have a name for it called paranoia. And I became very, very paranoid about my accent. I mean, when you have somebody who says to you, "Okay, you're a very lovely girl, you sing very nicely, but don't open your mouth to talk." I mean, when somebody says that to you because you well, unfortunately, I was very defensive, very weak, and believed those people. And that's really what I meant when I said I didn't trust people who could speak faster than I was, you know. But I think maybe the guy who did that interview might have had it a little bit up the wall, because as I'm telling you now, that's probably more the way I said it to him. Yeah. But that's what he construed. Obviously, had to break down what I said, and that's how he broke it down.
Oh, yeah. So.
But that's the real story.
What do you think you will be doing in 10 years' time?
I hope singing even better than I'm doing now. And I certainly am singing better now than I was 10 years ago. So I sincerely hope that I'm playing better piano. There's obvious room for improvement there. And I sincerely hope that I'm singing even better too. I've made perhaps about another 10 LPs, maybe 20.
You're not sometimes afraid about the future?
Well, I think those people that are, maybe, don't go ahead and do the things that they should be doing. I'm a bit of a gambler, and I enjoy my life. I enjoy my life within the band, and I enjoy being on the road and entertaining people. And I can only sort of see so far. And when you say 10 years' time, like I say, I hope I am singing even better, because that's what I enjoy doing, you know.
39, eh?
Pardon?
39.
Yeah, I hope so, yeah. And maybe, as I say, I will really have matured. I'm only a chicken. I'm only just starting at the moment. I'm only just getting there.